Hello, and welcome to AWCI's webinar, Lessons Learned from AWCI's Peer Safety Reviews. My name is Anne Marie Salvatelli, AWCI's Director of Education and Member Services. Before we start, we have a few housekeeping items. All attendees should be on mute during today's presentation. And should you have a question during any time of the broadcast, please submit it using the question box in your GoToWebinar dashboard, just like what you see on the screen right now. I'd like to take a moment and introduce our panelists today. We have Mike Hill, Senior Director, National Safety at PCG, Performance Contracting Group. Mike has been in construction with PCG for 19 plus years, for which he has been on both the operations and safety side. Chris Sanders is Vice President of Safety for Valley Interior Systems, where he manages environmental health and safety challenges that the company faces, as well as risk and liability. He is also a retired combat veteran and founding member and board member of TooToughToTalk.com, a mental health awareness nonprofit organization geared specifically for construction workers. Also joining us is Matt Taylor, who is the Corporate Safety Director at OCP Contractors Incorporated in Toledo, Ohio. With more than 30 years, Matt is also a past OSHA inspector. Matt is past chair of AWCI's Safety Directors Committee. We're welcoming George Vasquez, who is currently the Director of Safety for Merrick family of companies. His 20-year experience in the general and construction industry has helped him develop a passion for safety in the workforce and a sense of pride for teaching others. Rounding out our panel is Rick Wood, who is Field Superintendent and Safety Manager for J&J Acoustics Incorporated. Rick provides the field and office with support ranging from pre-con, engineering, tech support, and safety. He has been in the construction industry for more than 30 years. So welcome, gentlemen, and we're excited to hear what you have to share with us today. So first question, Rick, I'm going to be asking you this first. So could you describe your initial feelings about hosting safety experts from other drywall and framing companies who were coming in to examine your offices, records, and job sites for safety issues? And if you can share how the rest of your team also felt about this upcoming evaluation that you all had.
Great. Thank you, Anne Marie, and thank you to AWCI for having this webinar. I think it'll be really good for everybody to see what we've experienced and to hopefully participate in one of these reviews. So we did ours in July of 23, and we had all kinds of feelings and emotions. I'll start out, I wrote a few down, but anxious, terrified, excited, and then eventually we got to a point where we said, what were we thinking? Why were we doing this? And the reason we got here is, this might resonate with a few companies, is up until 2018, we had outsourced our safety. So we had a third party. And so we decided that to get better buy-in, we were going to bring safety in and do it through J&J. So we developed all the programs. We were really building up our culture and having our orientations. And so we've been doing this for about 2 or 3 years, and we're like, we think we know what we're doing and we think we're on the right track. But we didn't know, right? We weren't really reaching out to anybody. We kind of just internally thought we're doing a great job. And we actually ran into Jared Danstrom with Daily Drywall, and he in the Bay Area had just had his company reviewed. And so he explained all the fears that he had, and exactly the same as us. But he said they came in and looked under the hood, checked all the corners, and gave so much great feedback that it was such a positive thing that you should do it. And so, of course, that helped calm down all those feelings and emotions for us. So we wanted to know. We really wanted to know how our program was doing. So a lot of that anxiousness, excitedness, being terrified, that all kind of went away. And as far as the rest of the team, it was pretty much the same. We had two groups. We had one bucket of people that were really excited and let's do this, and then we had another bucket saying, you know, are you crazy? Why are we doing this? Ultimately, we all had a great experience, and so that's kind of how we felt about this being reviewed. Thank you.
And thank you for sharing that, Rick. Mike Hill, do you have anything to add from, you know, your feelings about hosting your peer safety group at your company?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity to come today and talk about it. You know, I think there's a mix of emotions as you come in, and not necessarily from myself. Obviously, we always have room to improve in areas and opportunities. And I think that the biggest thing that I kept reassuring myself is we're bringing the best of the best in here to take a look at what we're doing. And we know we're not perfect. I think when you look in the world of safety, it's not necessarily a competition. I think the competition is really sending everybody home at the end of the day, you know, better than they came or the same. And so every one of us have that same goal in mind. Now, I can't say the same for the office. When I let them know that, hey, you've been selected and they're coming in to do this, it was a challenge, you know, and I think even up until the week prior, deciding what jobs and really, I think it was a great opportunity for our executive leadership to see members of other organizations and to learn from them as well.
And Mike, I'd like to just hold on with you for a second and have a couple other questions here. Can you identify key lessons learned? What were some of your main takeaways from your peer safety review experience? And then if you could share any details in the changes that you implemented in your safety program as a result of that.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things we learned was around our pre-qual process, and we kind of knew it, but it brought it more to light. And, you know, that's something that we really hadn't done a thorough deep dive in. It's kind of been out there. And that's one of the things we've been really working on internally as far as implementing the safety program is, you know, vetting of subcontractors and ensuring you have the right people out there. We've always thought we did a good job, but this was an opportunity that the peer safety review brought up and something we've been working on. It's tough to right the ship in a day. So we've been having multiple different meetings since the peer review around it. But that's one of the main takeaways we got. Of course, there's always just little things like how you show up. You know, what PPE are you guys using? There's just different things that along that process, we really started talking about training of employees as well. Like how do you train and implement and ensure that everybody understands what they're doing on a daily basis. And that's something we're diving into currently.
Thank you. And Rick, so back to you. What about lessons learned and, you know, what changes over the past year were you able to implement with your safety program as a result of the review?
Yeah, kind of what Mike said. I think what we got was that we were headed in the right direction, and that it takes time for things to take effect. So don't panic if some of the stuff you have going is not really resonating yet, but it will. So just stay on that course. We also realized we weren't on an island as far as safety. Everybody was so wanted to share all their information and all their experiences. So that was great for us. And then as far as what we did update our safety orientation. We felt we needed to have it more detailed. So that was due to the contributions that they gave us. And then we enjoyed it so much, we created our own internal PSR group. So basically we have our safety committee, and now we kind of do what AWCI does is we will pick a couple projects and 3 or 4 of us will go visit the projects and kind of do our own little review of the project and work with the foreman. And then we give them input on what we see. we've done it twice so far, and it seems to be really working well. The guys really love it. It shows that we're engaged. And anyway, so that was one of the programs that we implemented.
Thank you. And from your participation, Rick, with the PSR, can you provide and share assessment of the program's effectiveness in helping AWCI members improve their safety programs as well as their records?
Yeah, it's quite effective. I mean, it helped us. I mean, we had a recent surge of incidents over the last few years, and that was another reason to bring them in. Maybe there was something we needed to correct, and so some of the stuff that they provided, you know, we started sharing out to the field, in the office too, and you know, we had 24 was our best year ever as far as safety. So we know part of that was from bringing in these great safety professionals to give us support and help.
That's a great return on investment, I'd say.
Agreed.
Mike, so you participated in a peer safety review both as a reviewer and a reviewee. What is your assessment of the effectiveness of the program so far?
You know, I think it is a great opportunity. I will tell you, having been able to participate in at least 2 peer safety reviews as a reviewee, or I guess a reviewer, it really opened your eyes to what other companies are doing. And really, there's a lot of great things in the safety space. You know, whether it was from OCP or Daily Drywall that we went and did, there's a lot of those little, it doesn't matter the size of the organization, I guess what I'm trying to say, that there is always something you can take away from it. And then I think being the reviewee, it's more, you may think you have a lot of the stuff dialed in, and you know your focus is in one direction, and really what it does is it gives that opportunity for someone else to come in with a clean set of eyes and just say, you know, where are you at with this, or you know, where are you at with prequal? How do you go to market? How do you set up jobs? And then ultimately reviewing the field craft, because a lot of us in many markets share the same field, you know, or what have you. So it's been really rewarding, I guess, to have the opportunity for safety experts. Not everybody will have that opportunity outside of AWCI to have safety experts come in and review what you're doing and give you tips and pointers and enhancements. And usually if that happens, it's some kind of OSHA partnership. And this is I guess a little bit, you know, the same product. People are in the same space doing the same construction work without that legal entity and authority. So it's really a great process.
And Mike, thinking of the team's perspective of the reviewees, what can you share with us some insight? Are there any team members hold differing views of the peer safety review process and its results in a post-completion?
You know, I think the biggest thing is it's a collaborative effort. How we do things, you know, across the country varies, and how each different organization operates varies. And really, when you look at it, the views on safety are all the same. Everybody wants to send people home the same way. How we get there, there's a million different routes to send people home. And really that's what it's looking at. And there's really good conversation that stems from that group around, you know, here's how we do test planning. Here's what training looks like in our organization. And it's more of a collaborative sharing effort. The differing views, everybody sees safety as, you know, the pinnacle, the ultimate core goal. But at the end of the day, it's what little pieces and nuggets do you take along the line. And there was an old saying that used to be R&D, safety is a bunch of R&D, rip off and duplicate. And really what it is it's sharing the best practices. I can tell you that having been to OCP and Matt, and since he's on the call and a panelist, but, that was one of the things, like, when you look at the training modules that they do, the amount of training and how they go to market with that, it's really incredible. And being able to share that experience, and Matt was very proud of that in the way that he, and portrayed it, and very, very much should be. I think the thing is you start thinking about, how does that look in our organization? How does it look in different branch? How does it look in the field? And really, Matt wasn't standing on a soapbox saying this is the way you have to do it. He was just, saying this is something that we do that really resonates with our team and how we get there. So I think that the views are all the same on safety. Everybody wants to get there. It's just the amount of information that's shared back on how they do it, and providing a different perspective to get to the same goal.
Thank you. So Rick, just coming back to team perspectives, do you have anything to share on that?
Yeah, I think for us too, like as far as the field and the safety team, we definitely was the office side that was initially resistant, and then once they came and the peer group came and met with everybody, they all had this, they felt like it was just such a great experience that this is one of the reasons they want us to go and be a reviewer, is because they know we will get value out of it too, and that we'll get lessons learned by going to these other companies and seeing what they have. So as far as different perspective, that's initially what they had, is like, why are we doing this? But now everybody's on board, and since we've done it, we've used it multiple times, promoting that we've had this done with the general contractors that we're working with, and it has actually probably led to us getting some projects, knowing that they know we care about safety, and that we felt that we needed to be reviewed, so that we knew we could be the best, or try to be one of the best in safety. So overall, it's very important and great.
I think the next section is slide 5, which should be bringing up there, is a direct question to you, Rick, is how did you determine what sites you were going to pick? How did you say, hey, this is where we're going to go? And was it a obstacle there as far as bringing everybody into that site? Because we're all dealing with general contractors, right? And how did your general contractors react to that?
Yeah. We have a few things with this. We're in the Bay Area, California, so we have projects all over, but during rush hour, it could take 2 hours to get from one job to the other. So we wanted to choose projects because we wanted them to see as many as they could, because we wanted that input. So we definitely picked projects that were closer, and so that you could see more in a day, because it's about a day and a half. And then we wanted a little bit of variety. We're mostly commercial, so we were doing a mid-rise. We wanted to see that. We had a commercial exterior core and shell that we were doing, and then we had a tenant improvement. So we thought we wanted them to see all aspects of our framing, from exterior framing, interior and exterior hanging, taping, our lath and plaster. We obviously were working off of booms and scissor lifts, exterior scaffold. So we wanted to get it all out there so we could get the most feedback we could on all of what we're doing. And then as far as I missed that first part, Matt.
How did your general contractors react to bringing entourage of safety professionals to their job site?
Actually, right? Kind of for us. So when we started reaching out to the GCs, they just automatically thought, you're bringing OSHA to the job sites. What are you doing? And we were trying to explain, no, it's a group of safety professionals that in our same trades that want to come and see what we're doing and help us identify these blind spots we might have. And most of the GCs were like, oh my God, that's awesome. I wish we had that. We'd love it. And the nice thing too is when we were getting ready to as we were getting closer, we explained to all our foremen and all the projects we don't know which one we're coming to. So tighten up your ship. And man, everybody was, on, had everything tight. When we go visit a job, it was like, wow. So, so we still didn't tell them until the day we came out so nobody really knew. So we didn't want them to relax either. So it was cool. It was a really great experience. GCs loved it. They were so thorough that we had a fourth project that unfortunately we couldn't get to. And then the safety guy for the GC called me the next day and he goes, "Oh, I thought you were coming out. I was hoping I'd be able to talk." So I in a way, I was bummed that I didn't get hit. He didn't get to experience it, but yeah, overall, it was just great. The GCs really embraced it well.
Right. Mike, did you have anything to add to that? I know we saw some good sites out there. How did you pick those? There's some nice big sites. How did they react to that?
Well, that was the fun part. I think like I said, we were still trying to figure this out. Management may have seen it a different way. It's not that they didn't want to welcome it. But I think with anything, when you get peers within the industry, friendly competition coming in, and they're like, okay, they're going to go to our jobs. Why are they seeing our sites? What sites? And so when I got the initial list of sites, it was very small and pared down to jobs where we had 2 to 3 folks on, or maybe a dozen or better. And when you look at it, the peer review safety team, you can see it in the photos there on the slide. It's about 8 to 12 people, 8 to 10, somewhere in that frame, and half go to the field. And so really we're going to have essentially the same amount of field personnel as we were peer safety review. And my goal was to take a look at all the projects that we were doing, kind of similar to what Rick stated, and look at the different scopes that we perform within the same branch, and give the opportunity to see, because there is a big difference in finishing, or just standard drywall or clean room, and so we were able to negotiate, I guess, some projects to go out to. And so we showed up on site. We went to a large battery plant that we have, doing your non-typical AWCI member scopes. So not a lot of drywall stud metal frame, but more insulated metal panels and drop ceilings. And so it was a different view, still with the same trade, being carpenters and finishers. But so we wanted to incorporate that. There was a elementary school being built during that same time period. Proximity is another thing that we really looked at. So I know the review team members, we drove probably 30 minutes to get to the job site here, but if we would have gone to another job, the other one wanted to be up by the airport that the branch had selected. And so we were going to spend more time driving in vehicles into different sites. And I think that's a big thing, especially Rick, where you guys are, the proximity in the bay and how long it takes in traffic, and really it puts perspective for your field teams as well, how much time they spend in the car going to and from the job. And so ultimately try to get a valid mix of product lines that the branch offers, and to try and get a well-rounded view of the scope of the projects.
Emery, did you make it back? Okay, we'll just continue on with the next question here. What are the steps of the PSR process? That question is getting directed to me. So reflecting on the experience, what did you see as benefits to your company? And it was directed towards me. I'll just say that, for me, a long time ago, there was 3 of us in a room, and Mike Hill, myself, and Ed with Raymond Group sat back, and we thought about what would this group do, what would be a benefit to this group, and this was the number one thing we saw coming out of it. Looking at the experience of being a reviewee and a reviewer, right? Been in both seats. I never thought of what I could gain out of this, where this would head. And I will tell you that looking at the experience that I've gained from this, even after 30 years of doing this in safety, this group is one of the best things I've ever attended as a reviewee and as a reviewer. I've been to many conferences across the board, and I will tell you that this is the best experience I've ever gained from anything. It's not often that you can sit down with a group of experts in the field, right? But more specifically, sitting down with a group of experts in the field of your specific. So drywall contractors, right? Understanding we're all battling the same things. And I think one of the things that I got out of this was always hearing, and we always hear, our competitors don't do this. Our competitors don't do this, right? And one of the things we gain from this as not just safety professionals, but I think as management and field operations as well, our competitors do this, and they're right here, right? And they're doing things better than we are, and they're doing things more efficient, and what can we gain from it? And it's really the experience of it all. I would say the biggest thing I've gotten out of it was connections, right? It's nice to be able to trust one another as a peer group, and also as friends, and be able to call when you have hard times, and be able to go to a drywall contractor safety person and say, what do you do here? And for them to trust you enough to tell you, right? Because I think we all battle the same headaches each and every day. Rick or Mike, do you guys got anything to add to that?
Well, I'll follow up on something you had said, Matt, one time was if you were going to try to hire a group like this to come to your company and review it, it would be exponentially. I mean, the cost would be huge. Nobody could afford it. Not one of us could afford to hire this many safety professionals to come and spend 3 days at your company, walking your job sites and giving you feedback. So as far as return on investment, it's I don't even know what the word is. I mean, you can't afford it. You have to do it.
Yeah, I tell you, going in, you bring up a great point, and you know, it goes both ways. Like I said, it's the best conference I can go to is to be a reviewer, right? But to get this done in our company, wow. I mean, yeah, you're exactly right. How much does a Mike Hill or a Rick Wood or a George or a Chris Sanders cost to bring into the company and get that extra feedback? And very, you know, but it's equal on both ends. So I think it's give and take, and definitely good positive atmosphere. Mike, you got anything on that?
Yeah, I think on both sides, whether it's a reviewee or reviewer, you get the benefit of, like I stated earlier, you're not having OSHA come in, you're having industry experts and really giving you a difference of opinion of, I don't think that there hasn't been a review that I've been a part of that I haven't taken something back. You know, whether it's from Gold Coins or Daly had a phenomenal, you know, area for their teams to gather, and, you know, 100% leadership commitment. You know, those are like the things that someone can tell you about that, but until you experience it, and then in the evening, just hanging out and chatting about life in general, you know, it's really an eye-opening experience. And if you're looking for a tangible return on investment, you can go in with some hopes in some areas where you want to improve or have the team look at. But I think it's just really a total package, and then to try and distill down what that information is as being reviewed. Like, what is it that we want to focus on? How do we continue to get better? And to have opportunities that you've seen along the way, you know, so, hey, OCP's doing this, or hey, Valley's doing this. You know, it is possible that we can do stuff like that. So I think it's immeasurable, the return on investment.
So George, you've been hanging out in our batter's box, and we're going to ask you to step up to the plate. And we have some questions for you. So George, I'm going to go back a little bit here, thinking about your motivation, and if you could explain your reasoning behind your decision to request a peer safety review, knowing that your company has an excellent safety record.
Thank you, Anna Marie. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
That's good. All right. So I believe every company wants to thrive in the industry, whether it's production related or safety related. And I also learned that whether you're a small outfit, a small company, or a big company, there's always places where you want to improve. And what we're mentioning here, going back and thinking about this, the one thing I learned is that the AWCI brings a unique approach to this visit from a safety professional. In this case, we're talking about somebody like Matt that's been working with OSHA before, somebody that has walked plenty of sites from different walks of life, if you want to call it that way, different trades. But the fact that he's talking about how much benefit someone can get out of this, it speaks volumes, right? It speaks volumes in the sense that it's not only a safety person trying to contribute something to their company, but it's the whole leadership team trying to understand things that have maybe failed or worked good. And this is the benefit of getting at a national level, not just as a local level where you hire a consultant and they come and look at you, or maybe you having a member in an association locally where you are. And the AWCI specialize on specifically trade specific, which is the really good aspect of this. So when we thought about it, looking at how much I took away, back to Matt's point and Mike's point and Rick, of learning how they have struggled with some things, and also thinking, are we really doing that good? Is it really happening? And now when you have so many experts from across the nation coming and helping you, and it's not for an inspection, which is really important to mention here, is what is called a peer review to help you elevate, from all different angles, what maybe you've been struggling with. Maybe question is, what about if I try this or I try that? We live in a world where a lot of communication, a lot of information is flowing through AI and all these new things. And having a group of people like this is really helpful, because they're actually already implemented something. In some cases, they can already tell you if it worked or it didn't. They can tell you a bunch of feedback they received from the field themselves, like they're doing it now. So that was a big motivation for me to say, you know what? I got to jump on this and take advantage of this, because it's not like every other association I've been a member of where a group of people will come and help me. But now I'm looking at the national level. And if I'm being, kind of honest about it, a lot of times I kind of thinking, where's the answer to this? How come it's not working for me? Only to find out that other safety professionals across the nation, multiple locations, are trying to find an answer to the same issues I have, which is real comforting, to help you as a safety professional, or help you as a business owner or executive that are trying to improve the success at your company. Back to you, Anna Marie.
Thank you. So George, we're going to hold with you. Can you describe the steps that you took or currently are taking to prepare for your upcoming peer safety review?
Yes, I told everybody to get, run. No, I think there's a lot of questions to Mike's point that, your office starts asking like, and why are we doing this again? From HR to risk management. So in order for us to prepare is kind of put everybody on notice to let them know the benefits of being a member of the AWCI, first of all. The second part is, one of the great things that association is doing to move the needle across the industry is helping each other in terms of safety. So one of them is put all my executives on notice, who would I like to see in safety, right? We know the safety manager is always a person that goes first. Some companies don't have one. In our case, we have the luxury to have one for a location. So I talked to my executives and I told them, look, in this case, I want for you to be a member. It's not just a safety thing, but participate like every other company out there has been reviewed. So I talked to my executive team. I also started looking at job sites, like I mentioned, the potential locations, right? You're gonna have people coming in for 3 days at your location. So you gotta be able to, look into what benefit you wanna benefit the most, right? Sorry for redundancy there, but what are you wanna actually solve, right? Would you actually want them to, because that's the whole intention. This is not an inspection, but to help you look at some of the gaps that maybe you have or you didn't even know you have. So preparing our warehouses to kind of know, hey, we're gonna have some people, and I'm not talking about cleaning everything up. I'm talking about what do we want to know and benefit from this group. right? So they're prepared with also questions. That's one of the dynamics that we have during the peer review. We also ask the company, what questions do you have for us and how can we help you? So by the time we leave, there's all these questions. Prepare documents that you're going to share with the team. There's an NDA that we all sign to make sure that once we visit, and that's one of the scares sometimes, is like, if you're going to share some of this information, you know, how sensitive it is, who's going to see it, what they're going to take away. We have to sign NDAs for every company we visit just to make sure they feel assured that whenever we leave that place, we leave everything behind, hopefully in a better way or with some ideas that they can improve. And also looking at what places are we going to visit to make sure we have the correct PPE, we follow the policies that they might be different. So logistics more than anything. And also we want to live life like Mike was mentioning. If we go out to dinner with a member from that company, we want to make sure we get to that personal level on safety where, you know, we're here to help and share some of the knowledge that a lot of these folks bring to the table.
Thank you. Matt and then Chris, do either of you have any thoughts that you'd like to share from the steps you took to prepare your companies?
Yeah, so both going in, going out, as a reviewer and a reviewee, I will tell you, as we're getting reviewed, just to prepare, the biggest thing we had to do was find hotel accommodations and say, hey, where are we going to put everybody off at, right? That was about it. Getting your documents sent forward, feeling comfortable with sending your programs ahead of time so that the review team has a chance to prepare questions or look at it prior to coming in helps. Sometimes we send our new hire video, but really the preparation is really about finding the job sites, making sure your general contractors are okay with it. We didn't run into any troubles there. As a matter of fact, they welcomed that. And just getting ready for everybody to come in. That we didn't really want our field, or we wanted to see OCP as it was, right? And that was what was important. And I would tell you that that should be the least of your fears, right? I know there's some big organizations on this call, and especially in this group, but this is not meant for large organizations. Mike said it best. Mike's the largest drywall contractor in the United States, and he said it best. We're bigger. That just means we have more problems, right? So he goes, bigger doesn't mean better. It just means we got more issues and we've got same issues. And so it doesn't matter how big you are, we're all combating the same way. And so preparation is really just be yourself, and that's the way the group is, and that's the best way the group can help you is just be yourself, right? It's about being open and honest. There are no secrets in safety. And I will be here to tell you that even your injury illness logs are not a secret anymore. We all have to report them. You can see everybody's injury illness logs by going onto the OSHA website, and you'll see them, right? And you can see everybody's. So there's no secrets really when it comes to safety. So preparation, be yourself.
Thank you. And Chris?
I haven't had the privilege of being reviewed yet, but I've been able to sit on 2 reviews with Mike and Matt. And one thing I will say is that 100% open, honest feedback. Nobody's there to show that you're doing things wrong. Nobody's there to hurt you in any way. What I loved is that, you know, Matt and I, we're not too far apart in Ohio. You know what I mean? We're competitors in markets, but, you know, we bounce ideas off each other. We're not in safety. You know, and I feel that way with Mike as well. You know, we're working around the same people, right? Our goal is not to, you know, point out what you do wrong necessarily, but to show you that, hey, you know, in most cases we're saying, yeah, we have that same problem. Like, how do you do this? It's a collaborative effort, not to define whether it's right or wrong. So, you know, I've taken so much away from being able to do these visits, meet great people along the way, relationships. It's just an awesome experience to have that, you know, non-competitive attitude going in to help each other.
Thank you. So now we're going to transition into justifying participation in a peer safety review. So Matt, we know it's challenging for a safety director to be out of the office for several days. How do you present the benefits of participating in this type of event to your company?
I think it's been said like over and over again here. Justification is, you have to listen to you're looking at the groups of people that are here in front of you, right? Each one of these companies has justified being in this. Mike, I don't think he's only missed one, right? George I think you've been to every one but one. And I think once you get your foot in the door, you almost feel like you're stealing opportunities from others. And that's why I have tried to back down a little bit and say, well, if no one else wants to go, I'll go. And fortunately, I've had that opportunity. This is not a big justification. And it's like justifying whether or not you're going to the ASSE conference or the National Safety Council conference. I will tell you that your safety people, your safety directors will get more out of this than they will any other thing they participate in. And like I said, I've been to many things over 30 years, and I will tell you hands down, this is the biggest thing that your safety people can grow over, to the fact where I am sending my regional managers, I'm taking them with me. I want them to go, I want them to experience this. And the one coming up, I'm going to stay behind just so my regional manager can go and get the experience, because it's more important they get that than necessarily I get that. I don't want to hog all that experience. So justification, hands down, you can't ask for a better deal. You really can't. And it's because of all the cooperation within the organization and the people that belong to the AWCI.
Thank you. Chris and George, do you have any final thoughts on that as far as participation and justification to your leadership?
I mean, the biggest thing, I think Matt hit it, we've said it many times already, but if I were to choose between a 3-day conference where it's got 4 classes that I might not have heard, or I've only heard 3 times of other conferences, and one of these, I'm going to come to a peer safety review. I can learn from my fellow, counterparts in different areas of the nation. I'll take so much more back after 3 days there than I ever would, some of these conferences that we all attend. I'm not saying there's not good value, there definitely is, but that one-on-one, 100% in the field, seeing everything, comparing everything, seeing how it works, like you just can't get that anywhere else.
I was muted, but yeah, just to finish here, I think I will say it is sometimes we send managers or people that are upcoming on safety field to help the company to different 5-day courses or conferences like I mentioned. And right here, your employee that is working for you in this field will learn a lot at the different levels, right? With smaller companies, bigger companies. So the benefit is, beyond of what you can get from other places. So I think it's really great to be plugged in, be a participant. And with that, also inviting anybody up there that has questions and want to know how to get involved. I think you're going to cover that part, but is be active. I think more than anything that we want to convey with this webinar.
Thank you. Rick, we're going to start shifting into post peer review and information sharing. So upon returning from the PSR, what key insights did you communicate to your team? And then how did you share your findings and experiences with your colleagues?
So we once we were reviewed, they share, like George was saying, they provide everything. They leave everything behind. They actually put together a great PowerPoint that we just utilized, and we had a company-wide safety meeting, all hands meeting, and we had our safety committee that was part of this review, and everybody got up and spoke about what they got from it, the experiences, the foremen that the peer review visited, spoke, and it just kind of permeated through the whole company how positive it was. We use it as tailgate topics, so we try to use everything that we experienced and shared it with everybody, from the execs all the way down to our field teams.
Very good. And Mike, what are your thoughts on the information sharing once you returned?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, like Rick stated and we've all stated, you do sign the NDA, so there is stuff you can take back, kind of your memories type stuff. But one of the big things was easy, and I think that I still have it up here on my shelf, is one of the simple things from OCP was the gold coins that they hand out, and to be able to communicate that, I physically got one, thanks Matt and team from OCP. But those are the little things that you pick up on. You really look at it and say, whether it's that, whether it's the way that Daly brought in all their field teams, you look at the different things. And I had a meeting with all of our regional safety managers, and we do it on a monthly basis. And so just sharing some of those little best practices. And then we have an executive OLT meeting, our operation leadership team meeting, and that's our senior vice presidents, president and CEO, as well as our COO. And sharing in that group, obviously they want to know what the investment was when you left the organization and you went out and did the peer safety review. Like, what did you bring back? Because it's as much you're sharing with them as much as you're learning about how they operate and what they do, and how it can be done ultimately at the end of the day. So I think that you got to be intentional when you get back to share the information, and making sure that you're sharing it with the right people to try and make difference or change within your own organization.
Thank you. So looking at some key takeaways from this type of an experience, Mike, can you speak to your experience as a contracting company being reviewed? What might be a significant lesson that you learned, and then maybe one or two major takeaways?
Yeah, I think we talked about it briefly earlier, but I think the biggest thing was the most significant lesson: you don't know it all, and wherever you think your focus is, you've got a gap somewhere. And that's the world of safety. Every day is a challenge. We may be thinking we're doing the right thing with the Wardco and employee recognition and all of that, and then on the other side, you got the peer safety review, or at least Matt jumping up and down, like, what about your pre-qual process? And so just when you think that you've got most or majority of the things handled, and you probably do to some extent, it's how do you get even better in those areas or areas of opportunity. And I can tell you from being a review, I'm forever grateful for the team that came out. Like Matt said, doesn't necessarily matter the size of the organization. We all still have our issues. And I think from us, the major takeaways were, around training. That's an opportunity for us. Talking about, our pre-qual process, that's an opportunity for us. And really putting opportunity into action. And that's what we're really trying to do after this peer safety review.
Thank you. Chris, what about your experience being part of the reviewing team?
Like I said, I haven't been on the other side. My time's coming very quickly. I don't think the guys on this panel is going to let me get out of it, nor would I want to get out of it. But I'm going to tell you this. Participating in that was a huge growth for me. I think anybody participating can take away more than they feel like they're giving, but it's definitely two-way. Just seeing how the challenges you might face every day, or the unknowns that you're wondering, the confirmation that you're doing okay, or somebody else is experiencing something similar. The openness to share the solution that somebody has found, whether that's direct competition or across the U.S. But I mean, they're sharing their ideas, they're sharing what has worked, what hasn't worked, From a reviewer standpoint, they open their doors. I've yet to feel unwelcome on a site. I mean, maybe the guys are a little uneasy seeing me out there because they're still trying to figure it out, right? But Mike, when he took us out, Matt, same on those 2 reviews, no question was off the books. It was open access. Ask anything you want. Look at anything you want. Ask the questions you need to know. So very, very open-minded concept.
Thank you. So we have a couple of questions about engagement with office staff. Matt, what about when interacting with office staff? What specific questions are you asking to assess safety practices? And then what particular aspects do you focus on during the discussions with the office personnel?
Well, I'm just telling the group ahead of time. I always get stuck on the office team. So when how this is designed is that you have a field team and you have an office team, and then the office team reviews programs and they review management and the office staff to make sure that the support team is involved in safety and this just doesn't become a field aspect. And I will tell you that I've had the pleasure of serving every time on the office team. So I think Mike has too as well. So I shouldn't do that to him, but it is a good experience, right? And it's interacting with the staff is what's important, because if safety is just only owned by the safety department or owned just by the field, you're not really hitting on all cylinders. And so, interviewing the staff and talking with the staff and trying to get their input of how they run it. I will tell you that we walked away with some great input of getting ownership through all levels, right? And that's what's important, because when safety is owned by every part of your organization, it's key. And I tell you, we have a long way to grow, and we learned a lot from Raymond and PCI and all the groups of how to get that ownership at every level. So really that staff is just about coordinating. We're going to want to talk to the superintendent. You want to talk to project managers. You're going to want to talk to the CEO and all the key levels, HR department, all those levels that really support your build team. And that's what's important is understanding those levels and what can you gain or what can you give back to those levels to make all of our organizations better.
Thank you. George, with regards to job site visits, what key questions do you pose to evaluate safety compliance? And then what specific elements do you observe when assessing the safety on the site?
Good question. I normally go to the work of it, your field employee. As a experience for us is sometimes we try to convey a message as a company only to find out that what gets to the field, it might be a portion of the message or not the full intention of what the company is trying to do. So when I go to the field, I ask specific questions, right? Like how often do you guys meet for safety? What are some of your concerns with the equipment? The other thing, how long you've been working for this company, and you get a lot of sense of, a lot of the responses come with a lot of pride. They're real happy of what the company is doing. They're really curious to know what the company is trying to do as well. So then I do the same thing with supervisors. One thing specifically I always ask is, if there was any specific training that you think you can benefit as a leader for this company, that you think you can benefit, or something that you probably heard, what would that be, right? And a lot of times you hear things such as technology. They gave us iPads or iPhones, or we scan QR codes, and sometimes we want to know more about other pieces of technology or softwares that we're using. So those are things that kind of open our eyes to see, okay, we provide all these tools, but maybe we don't go in depth into, because the speed of things, right? Too much information flowing, trying to get the jobs built. So questions like this generate a lot of curiosity for the field to see what the company is trying to do. And the company learns in retrospect of, this is what we said, but this is what the field is hearing. And that's where you start going into what we call the gaps analysis, right? It tells you there's a gap here where if you can just fix it, you know, it might be something small, communication, a little bit more open about what was the lessons learned from the previous incident, right? Maybe the office know it, but the field never got, in some cases, the full version of the story. So those are really interesting dynamics when you start comparing back to what Matt and Mike have done, looking at the trend of incidents or what led to a specific loss or claim handle.
Thank you. Chris, do you have anything to add on the on-site evaluations?
I mean, George is 100% correct. I mean, understanding where those gaps are, I might ask a couple open-ended questions. Hey, how do you feel, you know, you're treated out here? How do you feel your safety program is? I might ask a couple leading questions like, hey, if you had an issue today, who would you call? Just to make sure they understand, you know, some of their structure. You know, maybe they have a specific program that came in the office or the initial that they're really proud of their program. I might ask a question on that program just for validation that, yeah, the program is being heard out there, it's being used, people understand what it's about. So it's a good resource just to get an independent view of, you know, what's working, what's not. And it's a very open, you know, I haven't seen anybody run from me yet, so I don't think it's a really harsh questioning. So we do pretty good making sure everybody's comfortable.
Thank you. Rick, what initial assumptions did you hold before beginning a peer safety review process? And then in what ways did your perspective evolve post peer review?
So our assumptions were actually, they do such a great job preparing and interacting with you prior to coming to visit that we definitely assumed it was going to be a great experience, and you know that it would be a positive and we would get a lot of great feedback, and basically our perspective was correct. I mean, the value of the visit was, you know, priceless, and we still have continued benefits, and you get the benefit of having these relationships that you develop, and now you can reach out to people, and it just the benefits are great, and so I recommend it for everybody.
Thank you. So I think we're coming up near the end, so we just have a couple FAQs about the PSR. So Chris, we're going to kind of hold with you here. For someone listening to the webinar who's never been involved in a peer safety review, what advice do you have for them?
I think the biggest one is, what do you have to lose? It's very minimal cost. All of us come in on our company's ticket. We come in to support you. You take away way more, way more than you can imagine that you would get with something like this. So there's really no significant cost to you guys. There is. I mean, obviously you got planning and stuff in the background, but Matt hit it earlier. But in perspective, I mean, we're talking 1-2% of what an actual inspection or resource like this would actually give to your company.
Thank you. And how many peer safety reviews take place in 1 year? And then how many reviewers are on each safety?
Yeah, so right now there's 2 a year. There is talk if we get participation both as a reviewer and a reviewee, looking into the regional smaller versions of this. So we have had that conversation. Typically it's about 8 reviewees or reviewers that'll come in. Different backgrounds, different locations. Obviously, East Coast, West Coast plays into who might be able to get there. But at least 2 a year is our goal. Hoping to make that even easier for you guys to participate.
And then does the size of a company matter when it comes to this type of event? Can a company be too big or too small to have a peer safety review?
I don't think so. I think even with a smaller company, you're going to get huge benefit because you're not available resources, that maybe a larger company like might, may have available. But even as a larger company, you're broke down into, whether it be a regional city, different markets. So you always have something to learn. So no, there's something for big and small and in between. I think we can offer for any of those companies.
Okay, and then what peer reviews do you have in the queue for this year, 2025? You mentioned 2 a year. Do you have those 2?
Yeah, George is in the hot seat next, buddy. He's getting ready. So I say that jokingly because we all know each other well, but he's opened the doors up at Merrick in Houston, April 13th through the 16th. I plan on being at that one as well, and I'm looking forward to that. So he's preparing in his steps right now in that communication process that we spoke about, and everybody's making arrangements to get there.
And then if we have a listener who's interested in a peer safety, in a peer safety review, who should they contact? And then if someone is a member of an AWCI company, can you also advise on how they can join the committee, please?
Yeah, I mean, we actually have opening for the fall. We are looking for a company. We try to keep it pretty balanced and open. If no company is able to step up or interested, I'm sure Valley will step up. We'll do it. But we'd love to see some other companies participate as well. So if you are interested, Don is probably the best email, which is
so that yep, go ahead.
pilz@awci.org. That's pilz@awci.org. So he runs the safety committee for AWCI. He'd probably be the first point of contact, and it'll get kicked down to this group here and co-chairs and whatever to start helping with the organization. But we definitely would love to see 1 or 2 more companies step up, get put on that dock, get some long-term planning going.
Awesome. Well, thank you. With that, I think that answered all the questions that we have. So in closing, on behalf of AWCI, I would like to thank all of you, Matt, Mike, Rick, George, and Chris, for sharing your time and insights with all of us on the call today. Attendees, if you'd like to learn more about safety, please join us at our annual convention, March 31st through April 3rd, which will be in Charlotte, North Carolina. And our AWCI Safety and Health Committee meeting will be held on Tuesday, April 1st from 9 to 10 a.m. And then beginning at 10 a.m., please join us to hear from Dr. Sally Spencer Thomas. She's going to present You Can't Fix Your Mental Health with Duct Tape, Why Burnout Mitigation, Mental Health Promotion, and Suicide Prevention are priorities in safety critical industries. And with that, thank you all of you for your time. And again, anyone interested in joining the committee or having a peer safety review of your company, please reach out to AWCI's Director of Technical Services, Don Pilz, and that is pilz@awci.org. Thank you all and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.